You, my friend, are a hero. One of 11, in fact. But you're also a cube. And that means you've had to develop a different way to get around quickly. So, you tumble. And since you are a hero, you've developed different skills for each side of your body, like slide, dash, tumble, and jump. And whenever you activate your Q, some truly epic powers. Also, when you collect the mysterious crystals scattered around the land, you'll manifest astounding new abilities unique to you. You'll also have access to a myriad of helpful pets, items, food, and runes that, if used just right, will make you nearly unstoppable. Watch out though, the world and your opponents will keep you on your toes. You'll have to avoid obstacles like towering walls, raging rivers, deep pits, and even sheep? Really? As a member of the Quodd Heroes Society, you'll be tasked with many missions. Some will have you competing against other heroes, each of you striving to win. While in others, you'll compete in teams to see which team comes out on top. And some missions are so...
Hey guys, welcome to the Wednesday live stream. This is going to be a fun one. Definitely a little different than the previous live streams because we're going to be doing some solo play today. I will caveat that by saying that this is not final content from the solo campaign. This is using the same ideas, but and a new board that you haven't seen before, but this isn't actually one from the solo campaign. This is a early artwork for one of the main game scenarios, but I've improvised this to give you guys a sense of how the solo play is going to work. We don't have all of that content in TTS and finalized at this point, so this is to give you an idea of how this is going to play, and I'll start by kind of explaining how things will be different from sort of multiplayer, the regular Quodd Heroes 2nd edition and 1st edition. There was solo play in 1st edition, but it worked a little differently than this. I mean, essentially it worked the same way, but we've got some new stuff in here that I hope you guys like. Anyway, first I'll just say hi. Looks like we've got 6 people watching now. Feel free to say hi in the chat or ask any questions you might have while watching, or type them out. Obviously type them out. Anyway, I'll take a few questions before we jump into Tabletop Simulator and I show you guys what this is going to be all about. I'm just going to open Discord just in case anybody's in there and has any questions. Testing. Oh, my mic is muted. Okay. Might as well just get her started. So this is what I've got set up in Tabletop Simulator here. So the first thing I'll show you is that I have Texi here, and I'll explain some other things here in a minute. And we have this. Actually, I'm going to move this to right there. We have this board set up here, and I have my hero on the start line. Can't really see that, I suppose. There we go. This is just going to be the designated start spot for this scenario. So what we've got here is essentially a piece of the second scenario in the solo campaign, although the artwork will be different, and the specific layout of this board and that will be different. But the theme of this is essentially the second scenario in the solo campaign. The difference is that is supposed to be with Mayor Trixie as the hero in question, but I accidentally set all this up and had chosen Texi accidentally. So we're going to be playing with Texi just so I didn't have to reset this up, because this isn't sort of a programmed Tabletop Simulator scenario here, so that if I closed out, I would lose essentially my setup. I also kind of messed up and have to use this control panel to control the hero instead of the usual shortcut keys. So bear with me while I have to adjust to that process. So anyway, what I'll explain first of all is that this solo scenario is not a timed scenario. So oftentimes you would have a certain number of rounds to complete a scenario. So this one is not like that. This one is essentially a puzzle that you have to solve, and it's not necessarily the final puzzle again for the second scenario, but thematically it's the same. But this one will probably be slightly less challenging than the others, but it might take, a number of turns. So this isn't going to be over in 5 turns, but because I'm playing solo, it won't take that long anyway. And I kind of know the outcome since I set this up. But I'm going to do my best to not cheat in any way. Not that you can really cheat. You still have to go and do the things that the scenario requests you to do. But anyway, so what I will say is that the scenarios in the solo scenarios, in second edition work a little differently than they did last time. In the first edition solo campaign, you got a setup basically that would be in the scenario book that would say, this is the story, this is what you have to do. But there's no additional story stuff that happens throughout the game. There's just action on the board. One of the ways that second edition changes that is that we have story stuff happening all through these scenarios. And the way that we're doing that is there's two ways, although we're only showing one way here in this scenario. The first is the secret tokens. So the secret tokens that are spread throughout the board have numbers on the back, and those numbers correspond with information that will, in the final game, be inside of a book. So that when you uncover a scenario token, it will have a number on it that's associated with the particular scenario, and sometimes there'll be information printed on the board. In this case, we're actually using 3 pages of the fold-out book, so part of the instruction page has map details on it. Anyway, so there'll be a book basically that you'll look up a number based on the scenario you're in and read a bit of text, and it'll tell you what to do. Sometimes it'll offer you a choice. Sometimes you'll have to roll a die to see what happens. Sometimes it just gives you information. So that is one piece of this puzzle. Okay, hang on a second. Just trying to bring up the YouTube stream so I can get a sense of whether I've got an audience or not. Okay, so a few other things about solo. In the solo campaign, there are essentially 4 mini campaigns that connect together. And each one of those 3 scenario campaigns, like mini campaigns, features a different hero. The first three mission campaign. The very beginning of the campaign starts with Mayor Trixie, and this scenario that we're playing here kind of represents the second part of the scenario where Mayor Trixie, well, we'll go through that part in a second because it's part of the story that will happen when we start landing on secret tokens. The other aspect is that each of these heroes will have their own 10 card deck at the start of their mini 3 scenario campaign. This represents a 14 card deck based on acquiring new cards as part of the very first scenario. So these cards are actually not the cards that will come with the solo campaign. That will have its own set of cards, and each hero will have its own starting set of cards that are essentially brand new cards to the game, although some may share the same function as cards in the standard exploration deck in Quodd Heroes, but we don't actually need any of the cards from the main game to play the solo stuff. So I've basically pulled cards out of this deck to sort of simulate kind of what you'd start with, plus some additional cards that we've gotten in the previous thing. The other thing is that at the start of each of these three scenario campaigns, you'll be given a choice between one item and one pet that thematically tie in with the character and give you options for your hero. So unlike the regular game where you draw 3 randomly from the deck of each type and you choose based on power level, here power level is not part of it. Although they will be printed on the cards so that you can add them to your deck, and these are just cards that exist in the main game. The solo, the stuff that you get, all of the cards that you get in the solo campaign will be brand new cards. I've just chose these sort of to use for this scenario, so I won't be getting new items or pets through the course of this campaign. I choose 2 at the start, and this is kind of where the legacy stuff comes in. Like the choices you make in terms of which item and pet you play with will affect how well or how successful you are, and the kind of strategy you approach the campaign with. When we get to the next character that's featured in the campaign, you'll be able to pass some cards on, although not your items and pets, to that next character. So their deck will start with 10 cards plus the cards that are passed on from the previous hero. In this case, it would be Mayor Trixie passing on to the next hero in the campaign. So just a little bit of background on how that works. So the choices that you make in the first, as you're playing through as the first hero, will sort of, to a small extent, carry forward to the next hero. And that will continue on as you go through. And yeah. So the other thing is we also have unlockable card content, and that's represented here by these 2 stacks of cards. Each one of these has 2 cards in it and a number token on top. These numbers will match the numbers underneath some of the tokens on the board. And in each case, you'll be given a choice between 2 cards to add to your deck permanently, but immediately add to your hand. So when we step on these secret tokens, there'll be a number, and we'll read. I have just sort of Word document here with text in it that I'll read. So I don't have that text to share kind of on screen, but I'll read them out loud, and we'll get a clue here. So this isn't necessarily the perfectly laid out story, but I'll kind of give you the sense of things, and you can kind of get a sense of how things are going. We've got a blue crystal, a yellow crystal, a pink crystal, and on the board here, this isn't particularly clear here, but you can kind of see this space down the line here is where the spiral binding would be on the solo campaign book. So this actually represents 2 spaces. This is not a space. So if you were trying to jump across this chasm, you'd have to clear 2 spaces to make the jump, not 3. This is just representing where the ring binding will be. Also, we see teleporters on the board at the start of the game. That's really not something you ever see, but is part of this scenario setup. Also, there's some what are typically crystal spawn tokens. In the final scenario, those will be not that, but represent that function. And there's a couple of what are typically respawn points here that will have some function in the, there's another one here, in the scenario. and we'll see what that is as we proceed. So does anybody have any questions or whatever at this moment at all? Feel free to respond in the comments. And I'm hoping you guys can hear me. I think you can. I see my mic level moving, so let's there we go, turn it up a little bit. All right, so I'm essentially going to start playing. I've got my player board set up here in the standard way. I'll take a look at my items and pet cards. I have Thinking Cap, which says when you activate your Q power, you may dash 1 space and draw a card. And again, this is a custom deck of 14 cards. I will be probably drawing through this deck more than once as the game goes on, and I will be adding some cards to it. So the way that works, once you're out of the deck, you basically reshuffle it and you draw again from it. And then my other item card, or my pet card, is Runekin, which says once per turn, copy a rune card you play. So basically you can double the effect of a rune by placing maybe 2 tokens or whatever. Yeah, so we'll just start. So here I am standing in front of a secret token. So I probably want to know what that is. And for some reason, this teleporter isn't sitting on this space, but it's supposed to be there. So anyway, so I know nothing yet. The scenario setup will have some information, but for the case, for sake of this, well, yeah, it will tell you where to set things up on the board for those things that are not printed on the board, and give you kind of what you need to know to start. And then you basically just play, and you basically want to uncover secrets as you go because there's information there. But we'll also have ways to trigger events as part of these scenarios. But in this case, we're just going to play with a standard event deck, which may or may not result in exactly what we need to have happen, but it'll be fine for the sake of this demonstration. So here I am, and I'll just start my turn by tumbling and find out what that secret says. So I will tumble forward onto the secret. Let me just remove the secret there. So this actually would be set up here, and there's one of the reasons why I'll just start over here. I'm gonna re-tumble my hero here. For the sake of this scenario, I've covered a lot. Like all of these secrets, most of them are placed on respawn points. The reason for that is I don't want those respawn points to be available. So you can't just jump into a pit essentially and then respawn to move around. So they're not available until after you find out what's under the secret token essentially. Once the secret token is removed, then there is a respawn point there. So we'll start our turn by tumbling forward onto this. Whoops, my keys aren't working. Onto that spot. And then I'll take this secret token off the board, and I'll see which secret token it is. So it has number 1 on the back, and I'll just set that over here. And I will read the number 1 passage from, which would be in the book, but in this case, it's just in my Word document. So it says, "You've escaped the lava-filled cave in the nick of time, but now you find yourself in a vast chamber with deep chasms all around you. There appears to be no way out of this space, but to your left, you see a massive closed door." And so in this case, that is represented by this, because I didn't have custom artwork for this. So we have this door with the symbols carved in it, with 3 symbols carved in it, and 1, 2, 3. These are these symbols. You assume that this is some sort of locking mechanism, but you need to find out for sure if you want to get out of this place. There's a glowing pink crystal nearby. You get the feeling this might come in handy for something. So we've read that. We know we probably want the crystal, though we know that by default. There is a limit to the number of rounds in some scenarios. In this particular scenario that we're playing today, there's no round limit. So there's no time constraint. The very first scenario in this campaign is a time constrained thing. You're sort of running to get out of this place before the lava fills up and overflows. So the story with Mayor Trixie, at least the beginning of the story of her campaign, is that she wakes up deep in an underground cavern, or what appears to be an underground cavern, and she doesn't remember anything, doesn't know who she is essentially. she does feel heat behind her, and basically lava is rising, and she has to get out of the place that she's in. So that's the setup to this. She's escaped that chamber. She's now entered this other space, and is, trying to get out. Yeah, it's okay. I noticed the snap points are missing on there, Danny. I appreciate that you got those on there. So yeah, that's the setup here. And I've got that information, and now I activate my back. So I will tumble forward one more space. And I actually am not going to do that, because then I'm going to jump in a direction I want. So instead of tumbling forward, oops, I will tumble to a different side. Which side do I want? My flower side. Yeah, I'll tumble here. And I didn't plan this well, actually. I should have set up my player board differently. I'm going to do that now, because obviously this is an option when you're playing Quodd Heroes. You can arrange your stuff in whatever way you want. So I'll tumble in that direction, which brings up my flower side. Sorry, I would put that over here and tumble this way. So now that's my diagonal slide. I can slide twice. I will slide over here and get the crystal and put that on my player board. So that now unlocks Texie's pink power, which says you may, when you use the spring, you may jump from 1 to 3 spaces instead of just 2. Hey, Kevin. Thanks for joining the stream. So that ends my movement phase, and as usual, I will draw a card, and this time from the deck to my hand. I've drawn an Omni Rune. And yeah, so this platform right here is a moving platform, but you can see, like, if you know first edition has moving platforms, and moving platforms in first edition have arrows on them to indicate which way they move. So this could just be a static platform. We don't know at this point what this platform does because it doesn't have any arrows. So when a trigger happens, this thing doesn't move. So we've ended our movement phase. We still know very little as to what's going on here, outside of that maybe this is a door that we need to get out of. I've drawn a card, and now I should have done the event first. My apologies. Each player gives a card to the player on their left. Obviously, this would not be part of a solo event deck, so we'll just draw a new one. Players may not activate item cards during their next turn. Flip item cards over. So that's unfortunately, although I would have the ability to avoid this, because this card text has been updated to say discard a rune card to avoid this effect if you wish, but I won't do that. I'll just let my item flip over. I probably won't need it for the time being. And that's it. The event has happened, and I'll just carry on with my next turn. So I'm going to tumble here with my next movement phase. I'm not going to... Whoops, I hit that twice instead of once. That activates my dash skill, which is no longer highlighting, but my face is up, and that's my dash skill. And I can dash one time onto this teleporter and hope that I roll a 3. And I will caveat that these teleporters won't be able to explode, the ones that are printed on the board. So we'll just roll a d6 and see what happens. I rolled a 2. So this is actually too far away. That's unfortunate. So I'm going to, I guess, I'll go here. Just in case I find a way to get across. I probably should have played my Omni Rune first. That would have been the smart thing to do. To place another teleporter next to it. And then I could have basically used them until I got the result that I wanted. So that would have been handy. All right, so that was a dumb mistake on my part. The pinging sound was my phone. Yeah, I will turn that off. All right. What am I going to do? I suppose I just draw an event card. I could use the Omni Rune now, but I might as well save that for next turn. So I'll draw an event card. And this one says all players perform a jump of 1 in the direction of their choice. So that actually should say 2, not 1, because the nomenclature, the numbers change between first and second edition. So I will jump onto the teleporter and hope that it gets me across the pit to collect the yellow crystal. Or at least onto another teleporter, which maybe gets me across. So let's hope for better luck this time. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, I'll just teleport directly to this other teleporter. And roll again. And a Q. So a Q, in this case, would just be a 6. Because these cannot explode. So I'm just going to teleport over here to this secret token. And I'll get the yellow crystal later. So this is, flip this over. This is number 3. So check my reference book here. Number 3 says this. As you step on the ground, you hear a click. A compartment opens. Roll a d6 to determine what you find. Actually, roll a d6 is actually not supposed to happen here. I wrote that text and then forgot to delete it. But basically, you open number 3 envelope. So instead it should say, reveal the contents of envelope number 3. You may add one of these cards to your hand. This is permanently part of your deck going forward. So flip this over and we have 2 new cards. So I have to choose between adding a crystal extract number 2, which is quite a powerful card. It lets you dash 3 spaces. What if a teleporter roll lands on explode? So this particular scenario, we're saying that the teleporters that start on the board, which would be marked differently, they would look different from a regular teleporter, but be recognizable as a teleporter. They cannot explode. Teleporters that I place on my own would still be able to explode, but these would represent kind of some ancient technology that's fixed in position here, so they wouldn't explode. They're not as glitchy as the modern versions that we create ourselves. So I have to decide whether I want to add Crystal Extract to my hand or Super Ether Rune. Both are quite good cards. Considering the fact that I'm going to have to cover a lot of ground here, the Super Teleporter is great, but again, it could explode. And the dash is great because it lets me move outside my movement phase, but I think I'm going to go with the Super Ether Rune. So that will get added to my hand, and this one will basically just get discarded, go back to the envelope, and be saved for another playthrough of the scenario, or the campaign, I guess. So that's all happening in turn 2. I played the event, and now I will draw a card equal to my face-up skill, which is dash, and that's 1 card from my deck. So now I have quite a few cards in my hand that are going to be handy, I guess. So I will begin my next turn by I guess I'm going to let me see. Range 6 on the Omni Rune. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Trying to figure out how to extend my movement potentially. Like if my plan is to I don't know. Maybe I'm not going to use the Super Teleporter yet, but I will dash to get that yellow crystal because I think I need it. So I'll play Crystal Extract to dash onto here. collect the yellow crystal. So now I have 2 crystal powers, but remember, I can only carry 2 things at a time. And the cool thing is that I actually get my item card back this turn. Do I? At the end of this turn, I get my item card back. But this item card lets me... What does it do? Sorry. So I would get to essentially dash 2 spaces when I activate my queue. So that's handy. So activating my queue doesn't like lock me down like it normally would. Yeah, I'll flip my item back once I'm finished my turn here. I think it should still be locked because the event happened at the end of... Oh no, you're right. I do get it back now, so I won't be using it this turn. So I'm going to just tumble forward now to start my movement phase. I'm not going to do anything with these other 2 cards yet. So I'll tumble, and then that brings up my jump, and I'll jump onto the teleporter and hope I roll at least a 3, because that's what I need to get to any other teleporter. I should have just hedged my bets here. I mean, if this was a time scenario, and it's potential that this may end up being a time scenario. Once it's sort of all laid out and everything, and properly tested, I'll get a sense of whether it makes sense to do it that way. But not all of them will be. Some are just puzzles that you have to solve. Although this isn't a particularly challenging puzzle per se, it involves quite a bit of activity that you have to do. So I now immediately regret my choices because I'm a terrible die roller. No, there really isn't a chance that there'll be more solo and co-op scenarios, just because they cost money, right? We've already spec'd out the campaign book, or unless you mean as part of Tabletop Simulator, the TTS mod will continue to expand going forward. Although I think we might actually, as strange as this sounds, we might actually do a small Kickstarter campaign to produce essentially the full game of Quodd Heroes 2nd Edition in Tabletop Simulator. First of all, that because it's a lot of work, and it's Danny's efforts that go into this. So that campaign would essentially be to, because we would probably make the full game Tabletop Simulator mod a paid thing, not a very expensive thing, but basically just to recover some of the cost of development and the fact that we'll actually get the painted minis in here and all of the other fancy bling and all of the content. But that's quite a bit of work for Danny. So I'm thinking we're going to do a Kickstarter campaign for that with a relatively modest funding goal. But it'll just basically get all of the 2nd edition campaign, including the solo content, into TTS for people to play. But in terms of adding more solo content, in like official content that's printed, no, it'll just be what's stated on the campaign, just because adding more pages and more content adds more development time. The solo campaign is still kind of in development as we speak in terms of artwork and finalizing and testing the various scenarios. So that's going to add, the next 2-3 months, a lot of time is going to be spent doing that on top of creating the art and the layouts for the scenario book and the rule book and all of the stuff that has to happen before we go to print. And we're supposed to send our files off in April. So we have between the end of the campaign now, in a couple of days, to the beginning of April, essentially, to prepare all the files and make sure everything is in tip-top shape. So having to add additional scenarios, it's unlikely to happen. That's great, Alex. So if you want everything for Quodd Heroes 2nd edition, you basically just need the all-in pledge, which is basically all of the new content. That is the deluxe edition of 2nd edition. Then you get all of the painted stuff. Although if you already have 1st edition and you don't particularly care about painted crystals and painted sheep, then you can just get the upgrade pack. And if you want a set of painted minis, you can just add that add-on. But if you're trying to get everything, then you would go with the all-in pledge, which would give you the deluxe second edition game with all of the painted goodies, plus the solo campaign and the sorry, I'm drawing a blank. The 3D walls and tokens add-on, which is additional painted miniatures for which essentially replace the walls printed on the board. I'm hitting the wrong key here. Anyway, and the crystal, or sorry, the spring and teleporter tokens and the cannon tokens would all be three-dimensional painted minis. Yeah, the wood organizer is cool. The only caveat with the wood organizer is that we're not certain that we're going to fit all the walls in it, but I'm pretty sure that we will manage it. We do have to tweak it based on its current design, because that design existed prior to us deciding to create those walls, and 57 plastic walls takes up a lot of space. But the box that add-on comes in will have kind of a plastic insert to hold all of those things. And the idea is that tray from that box will be able to fit inside of the plastic insert that comes with second edition. And hopefully that will all fit, and the lid will still go on. But that development is going to happen over the next few months as well, to make sure that that all works out as planned. Okay, so where was I in my turn here? I had a unsuccessful teleport, and I'm standing next to this and regretting all of my choices. This card gets discarded. I guess I'm just going to play the Omni Rune and hedge my bets next turn with... where are all the tokens at here? There they are. Hedge my bets with being able to get across without using my super portal rune. So that gets dumped, and I will draw an event card. Oops, that's not an event card. That's a secret card. And why is that there? Oh, that's part of my deck. Oh no, it's the card that I did not choose. So let me get rid of that. So we're not actually using the secret deck in this case, obviously. Yeah, the wood crate does come with the organizer, and everything you see in the video for the wood crate comes with the wood crate. So it has all of the bits required from the organizer comes with it. So you don't need to buy anything in addition to the wood crate. It essentially is the wood crate plus the wood organizer combined, and obviously more on top of that. Lots more storage space. All right, so I'm drawing an event card. Flip that over. We finally get to upgrade. All players upgrade their heroes. Bombs move 2 extra spaces. So I need to look at what I'm going to upgrade here. I guess that's a no-brainer on the tumble, so I'll just upgrade my tumble. Actually, what am I doing? Sorry, I changed my... No, it's no good. Yeah, so because of my pink crystal power, I could have used a spring here instead of a teleporter, because my springs can jump over 3 spaces. So on my next turn, I will jump onto the spring, which will get me across here, which is... Then I get to carry on with my movement rather than using a teleporter. I think I would know better by this point. All right, so now I draw for my turn. My feet are up. That's my jump skill, so I get 1 card. And I have another Ether Rune. Interesting. Okay. So... Oh, and I also have Rune Cannon. I keep forgetting to use him. He could be doubling runes each turn. So... Technically, with that rune, I could have placed a second spring. Do I want to do that? Sure, why not? That gets me across. I think we're okay. I'm just going to tumble here. That brings up that side, which is slide of 1. I will slide onto the spring, and because of my crystal power, I can jump 3 spaces on a spring onto this one, and that will get me to here. And that ends my movement because I only have 1. I need to draw some movement enhancing food cards here. All right, so I also, if we look at the board here, I think we get the impression that we're supposed to drop crystals on these things. There will be an event as part of the final version that basically that's triggered by these things, by essentially stepping on the spaces adjacent to them or on these spaces. But I have limited capabilities with TTS at the moment, but that tells you that kind of stuff. But I will end my turn. I'm not going to play these yet, although rearranging my skills is probably not a bad idea. But I can do that next turn. And we draw an event card. All players may dash 1. Well, that's handy. And I get to upgrade. So I will dash onto this secret, flip it over. It's the number 8. Look in my book here. Number 8 says, you notice a small stone tablet covered in dust. As you wipe away the debris, you see the symbol 3 carved into it with what appears to be an arrow. So that doesn't mean anything to me at this point, but I will keep that in mind. And then I get to upgrade again. So I'll upgrade my dash, I think. Let's see what my other upgrades are. Ooh, a jump of 5 is pretty epic. There will be, I mean, there's enough information out there on the standard insert. I've kind of repeatedly said that this is going to be a high quality plastic insert. The caveat being that its ability to hold everything is limited, right? So it'll definitely hold all of 2nd edition and some of 1st edition when you combine them. But because 1st edition has so many tokens and the box is of a limited size, it's unlikely to hold all of everything together. I'm going to do my best to make sure that that happens. But it definitely holds everything that's part of this campaign. And likely the Fringe Underground expansion, and so including the boards. But because 1st edition has so much in it in terms of tokens, I'm not 100% sure it fits. But my objective is to make that happen. So if it can physically happen with a injection molded insert and just the limitations you have with that because of how much space they take up, versus a wood insert, which takes up less space. But we won't have a final design for that just yet, I think. But probably before the Pledge Manager closes for sure. I can't guarantee we'll have a design before it opens. The Pledge Manager will open probably a month after the campaign ends, depending on how long it takes to get all set up and import the data and all that. Game trays, well, this will be like a game trays insert. I'll say that. It won't be using game trays because game trays costs a lot of money. They charge a lot of money to do what they do. And basically anybody who designs these plastic inserts is capable of doing what game trays does, especially with my guidance. I'll be part of the process. So using the brand game trays, it isn't going to happen. That would probably be another $10,000 US on top of, that's just off the top of my head in terms of what what they might charge for that, for their branding, and the campaign can't bear that based on our current funding level. So paying someone else to design it, where the manufacturer will have an internal designer that will do that essentially for free with my guidance. So yeah, it will be like a game trays insert, I'll say that. It just won't be them who's doing it. Okay, lost track of where I was on my turn. Thanks, Alex, regarding the live stream. Sorry, I didn't see that message. I'm enjoying doing these live streams as well. So that was the event. I upgraded, and now I get to draw for my turn. And that is 2 cards. Yay. That is going to be much better next turn. So I have a feeling that I need to drop these crystals off, but we'll uncover a few more secrets and see what we come up with. Yeah, I will definitely be guiding them. I will be designing this insert in terms of telling them what needs to be where, but and how it should look, but I won't be doing the actual physical 3D modeling of what the insert looks like. But certainly in terms of setup and making sure that there's a tray for the tokens that you use every time that you set on the table, and all of that will be directed by me for sure. So the plastic insert will be a quality one. It probably just won't hold all of first and second edition inside the same box, just from there's physical limitations, right? And it probably also won't hold all of the 3D walls, but I'm going to do my best to make sure that happens. Okay, so I am now starting my turn, I think, and looking at my hand of cards. I feel like, well, Tunneler Worm, I guess it's good to use it now because it lets me get around the board more quickly. I just have to figure out where I might need to get around the board to. I can't use him right away because I'm standing on a respawn point. I can't place tokens there. And I tumble forward. That's going to be tumble. I've got a wall in front of me, so but I guess I can place a token there, but the only tokens I can place currently, I guess a super teleporter is probably not a bad idea because I kind of want to get to this secret to find out whether I need to drop off those crystals. I'm guessing it relates to that. So I'm just going to put my super teleporter here. How does that? So this is where having a reference cube would be handy to sort of figure things out. I could tumble there. That would bring up my face. Let me just check. 1, 2, 3. Yep, that will be fine. So that's how I am now. I'm gonna play +2 on my dash, and I'm not going to actually place any. I'll place a regular teleporter with my Ether Rune, and I'll place that. So +2 to my dash would give me 3, so that would start here. 1, 2. Right. 1, 2, 3. All right, I'm just going to start my turn, and we won't worry about the Tunneler Worm or the Super Teleporter just yet. Although, maybe that's outside of my range. 5. Yes, it definitely is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's as far as it can go. Never mind. I'm just going to use my Super Teleporter there. Put this back in my hand. This has a range of 8, so I will put that there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But that's as far as I can reach with my dash, and I want to get to it this turn, so let's just begin. I will tumble here, and then my tumble skill is up, and that's a tumble of 3, so I'll go 1, 2, and now my dash is up, which is also a dash of 3. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, and roll teleporter. Sorry, roll 2d6. Just don't want doubles. 5. That's good enough to get me to this secret token, so that's what we'll do. Flip this over. It's number 2. My book says, you are standing in front of one of 3 stone recesses. This one has blue markings. To the west, there is a yellow recess, and to the right, across the pit is a pink one. Maybe this relates to the crystals in some way. So yeah, that's a hint basically that I'm supposed to drop the crystals off into these recesses, and I guess that's part of the door unlocking mechanism. So I probably could have hedged my bets and dropped off the yellow crystal already, but so be it. In order to here I can actually drop a crystal directly on it, but I kind of want to keep my pink crystal for now. So it might be wise to hold on to these for the time being. That's a respawn point once again, so I cannot use my Tunneler Rune. That would have been handy, actually. I guess I can use it next turn. I guess I just end my turn, draw an event. All players may slide 1 space east or west. I guess I will go... Actually, I'm not going to do it at all. East or west, because I kind of want to activate my Q next turn, because my Q power lets me reposition up to 3 springs or teleporters range 5, or upgrade 3 springs or teleporters range 5. So what I can potentially do is, and I get to dash when I activate my spring, or my Q. So I will essentially place a regular teleporter on the board here, tumble to here to activate my Q, upgrade this teleporter to a super teleporter using Pinky's ability, and then I can dash onto it and start uncovering some other secrets around here and figure out what's up. So that's my plan for next turn. And I will draw a card for my turn. What do I have? Face up, dash. So that's drawing 1 card. Earth Rune. That's going to be handy with Tunneler Worm. Okay. So, I mean, if this was a timed scenario, this would be way... I guess you would just have to make the number of turns significant, because this is quite a lot of travel you have to do around the board. But one of the things with this game, as you'll see here, is that as you go on, you're going to be populating the board with ways to get around more quickly. So I should have been keeping track of how many turns it took me to do this. And that partly could be sort of I completed this scenario in X number of turns, right? There may not be a turn limit, but we could have an expert level, like just a chart rating you how fast you did it. And we track that with a round tracker. But for the sake of this demo, we're not going to do that. So we already did the event. I already drew my card. So it's the next turn. So I've decided I'm going to play Ether Rune to place a teleporter there. Then I'm going to tumble here onto my queue. And that space doesn't have any locks either. So I then will activate my Q power, which I'll use to upgrade up to 3 teleporters or springs. I only have 1 on the board, but I will flip this one over. And then I get to draw a secret card because of my Q power. And I guess that's the advantage of using the regular secret deck, so I shouldn't hide that. We'll just put it here. Flip this over. Animal Kinship. Draw the top card of the pet deck. So there will be a custom secret deck for 2nd edition. So that one is not relevant since we don't have a pet deck technically. Although I guess we technically do have a pet deck. So that's actually fine. So I'll just ignore that and go back to the one we had. I guess this would really be the only way you could get a pet, an additional pet. So now I get to have 2 pets in play. And we'll just put this one back on top and shuffle it. Yeah, that could be a thing as well, but that it makes it more of a competition, right? I want people to, I want those to be story related, as opposed to like, because you won't necessarily get all of the cards if you complete a scenario without uncovering all of the secret tokens, because maybe in a time scenario you're not actually going to get to all of them. I like that idea that you're finding things. It's not. Although there could be one based on time for sure, like a time scenario that there's some sort of reward. That's a thing, but I hadn't specifically planned that. But it's a good idea, I guess, for the right kind of scenario. I like the idea of choice as well because that lets you customize your deck essentially to your play style. Okay, so I've done that, I've upgraded, I've drawn my secret, and now I will dash. And I also get to draw a card because of my thinking cap. That's handy. And now I roll 2d6 for the super teleporter. Don't roll doubles. Wow, 11. I kind of want to get over here to where the blue crystal is, so that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I will teleport there. Flip over this secret. Number 6. Number 6 says, there are 2 glowing stones on the ground, each with a compass rose imprinted on it. The blue one appears to highlight the west direction on the compass, and the yellow appears to indicate east. You wonder if these might control the floating platform in the chasm. So we now know how to control this platform and move it around east or west by stepping on this one for west and this one for east. But we need to know a little more, I think. No, I do plan to do live streams after the campaign ends. For sure, although not necessarily as frequently. Probably they will start up again once the Pledge Manager goes live, although I might do them anyway, right? Anytime I have anything important to talk about, like, for example, one good example would be like deals with language partners, right? And a lot of those kind of partnership deals with other publishers for other languages will happen between now and the Pledge Manager. So the good news there is that it might allow people to choose even more languages than English and German during the Pledge Manager, but I don't have those details yet. But when that sort of thing happens, I will send out an email or an update for the campaign and do a live stream, that kind of thing, because I do like this way of communicating because it's direct and I get to answer questions, and yeah, so I will continue to live stream. It just won't be, like every day like I've been doing, or every other day, because I have a day job and lots of work to do once the campaign's over on, finalizing all of this stuff. Okay, so I teleported. That ends my movement. I've uncovered what these things do. And now I just need to get the blue crystal, although, damn it, I can't carry 3 things at once. And I'm currently carrying 2 things. I needed to drop one of these crystals on the ground before I moved over here. So I probably should have just dropped the pink crystal before I moved. Oh well, I'll have to come back to get the pink one, I guess. Which I guess currently, since this platform is lined up with where the pink drop point is, I can go do that next turn, perhaps. And once again, I'm on a respawn point, so I can't use my tunneler worm. But I will place a spring on the board. And I'll double it because I have Runekin. I'll finally remember to do that. And I could have doubled it. Oh, I could have placed another super teleporter on the board using that other rune and then upgraded both of them because I was standing here, range 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could have had another super teleporter placed like here, for example, which would definitely let me get around the board a lot more easily. Yeah, that's true. But anyway, so I'm going to place a spring here. Or, no, here. Because then I could... The pick up and drop off crystal thing can be done while you're moving. So if I start my turn, I jump onto this spring, land on this spring, drop the crystal off, and then spring back. I get to carry on with my movement based on the sort of drop off and pick up rules. You can do it mid-movement, and it happens before activating board elements. So that will work with the springs and my thinking cap. And also I just realized that I have Sir Hopslot, which I could discard a card to jump to right now, although that wouldn't get me onto this spring. But maybe that's what I do instead. No, I'll save it. Maybe what I will do, though, is place an Earth Rune here. Just so that I can come back to these points if I need to. Alright, that'll be it. I will draw an event card. Flip the top card of the event deck face up. And then I get to upgrade again. So I'm going to upgrade my dash this time, I think. Or slide. I should probably look. Tumble. 1, 2, 3. No, that's fine. I'll upgrade dash. And I kind of want to find out what that secret is. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to right away. Okay, draw for my turn. Q, I get to draw 2 cards. Ooh, Portal Rune. That's gonna help. Yeah, I think I'm gonna change my plan here for next turn. Okay, so next turn, I think what I'm going to do is play Portal Rune, teleport onto the blue crystal. This is probably not the best plan. Grab the blue one, drop off the yellow. My blue power says at the start of your turn you may teleport X, where X is the power rating of your item card. My item card is rated at 2. All right, thanks for tuning in, Kev. Oh, I'm going to drop it here instead so that I can tumble backwards. Okay, and then I'm going to give my dash +2 as well. So my dash will be 4 instead of 2. and I will tumble to here. And then I get to dash 4 times. I'll go 1, 2, boing, drop off the pink crystal. Whoops. We'll pretend that's sitting there properly. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, drop off the pink crystal. Oh no! Huh, that's not gonna work. Because then I don't get to jump as far. So I don't get to jump all the way back across. Damn. There we go, flip. Thanks, Danny. So that does limit me here as to what I can do. What I probably should have done is made the tunnel on this platform instead of over there, but whatever. So that's, and then I jump to here. So that was 1, 2. So I still have 2 movement left. I'll grab this secret. This secret is number 7. Number 7 says, you're standing on the floating platform, and it seems to be quite stable, despite its very thin appearance. There is a glowing orange stone on the north side of the platform with an arrow pointing toward the locked stone doors, which, as you notice, each seem to have a matching arrow pointing downward. You suspect that you must line up the arrow with the correct arrow on the door as part of the unlocking sequence. So if you remember earlier, the secret that we uncovered said that it had a number 3 carved into it with an arrow. So we need to line this, what would be an orange arrow, up with the number 3 once we unlock the door. So we need to drop a crystal on each of these. We need to line this up with the number 3. The door will unlock, and then we can leave. Land on the question mark, then dash to blue crystal drop off point. Oh, yes. You're right. I don't even have to dash to the blue crystal because you can drop off to adjacent spots. It's different than picking up. So before I move, I guess I would drop this crystal off. I'll keep the pink one in my hand for now instead of dropping it off, because then I get to spring back over there to control the platform. So I jump from there and I still have 2 movement left. Get the secret. Get on here. Bounce over to here. And then land on this. Yeah. See, I'm not thinking super clearly here, but we do have lots of options. And that, I mean, this is one reason I really love solo play in Quodd Heroes. I don't like solo games, generally speaking, but this system, whether it's a pseudo improvised scenario that I made up here, or you know, one of the ones in the book, or you know, something that you make up on your own, it just creates kind of a blossoming decision tree, right? And there's lots of ways to skin a cat or whatever to solve the problem. And for me, it's just a fascinating puzzle. And especially if this is a time scenario, right? You're trying to optimize your movement and make the right play. I'm not playing with timing, obviously, here, or I would have probably thought it through a little more. But anyway, so finish that turn. I'm standing on a tunnel here, but I now have Tunneler Worm, so I could... I mean, to me, it makes sense to move the platform 2 spaces west. Sorry, 1, 2. Yep. First, before I leave. But maybe I put a... No, that the super teleporters are going to do fine. But I still don't know what's underneath any of these other secrets and whether they're important or valuable. So, I mean, if you're if this is not a time scenario, right, then we kind of want to explore, because we have the potential to get more cards. We know for sure. We wouldn't know that in the final game or whatever, because the envelopes would not be labeled with the numbers on the secret tokens. You would basically go to a passage in the book for that thing, and it would say grab envelope number 12 or whatever. So we wouldn't have the information that there could be additional cards on here, because not all the scenarios will have the same number of unlockable cards. Some may have more than others. So, I mean, yeah, it probably makes sense for us to explore a little more. We can smash through this wall. It's not unbreakable. Problem is, if I tumble onto this, it's going to move the platform this way, which is the opposite of what I want. My right arm is slide, and it's only 1 right now. Oh well. So I'll just basically end this turn. I won't play the Tunneler Worm yet. I'll draw an event card, which I already know what it is, but I didn't look at it. The active player and the next player may place a tunnel on the board, range 7. Yeah, so that answers that question. I don't get to use that just yet, but it would change my options at the start of my next turn. That would activate my queue. So that's not ideal. Range 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Nope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll just place it here. Shuts that off anyway. Okay, and then I draw for my turn, which in this case is 3 cards. Wow, that's nice. Ooh, grappling hook. That also makes a big difference, as does Boogie Beans. And Rune of Discovery. That's going to get me that secret. Okay. Next turn. So I know exactly what I need to do now. Dash another hero. That's not going to do me any good. Ignore walls and pits. Steel range 4. So really, that's not super useful except for the pits and walls. I'm just gonna... Am I gonna do that? I'll play this first. Let's see what I get. Rune of Secrets. Rune of Discovery. Reveal a secret, range 4. So I'll flip this over. Number 9. You have a flash of insight. Roll a d6 and draw that many cards. Oh. We'll treat it as this die. So I only get 1. But we do have Bolt Cola, which is pretty good, and we have dash already on our face, so that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna borrow a page from Danny's playbook here, and so +3 to my dash skill, and then I'll activate my face-up skill now, so that lets me dash 5 spaces pre-movement. So I will go 1, 2, 3. That gets the platform into position. Oh. 4, 5. 4, 5. It is going to be hard to drop off pink, isn't it? Oh, it's not actually. Grappling hook. I can do that. Actually, maybe that's what I do instead. So I used 1, 2, 3, I would have played grappling hook pre-movement. Where's my discard pile? Oh, it's here. Yeah. 4, bounce to here. Floating over the pit with the grappling hook. Drop off the pink crystal. And 5. And problem is now I'm kind of stuck. I wanted to be able to activate my dash again, but I can't. And I can't place a tunnel in a pit, so I can't use that right now. I guess I just tumble onto the spring here. And I need to get that yellow crystal. So that is diagonal slide of 2, but it doesn't really matter since I can't get to the yellow crystal this way. But I'll just do that. And yeah, that'll be it for this turn. Interesting turn, that's for sure. All right. Trigger sheep twice and upgrade, so that text on that card will change actually, but I will upgrade my slide, I guess. I have all my movement skills upgraded. And draw for my turn. Slide skills face up. Get 2 cards. Oh. Out of cards. Flip it over. Shuffle it. And draw 1 more. It definitely is easier with reference cubes. You would be on the yellow crystal if you ended your dash diagonal from the pink crystal. Oh, yeah. Oh, well. It's very hard for me to see the lines on this board. I should have just switched to the overhead view. And I actually would have had to think ahead to realize that I was going to play my dash or my diagonal slide skill. But clearly I'm going to finish near the bottom of the potential list on the number of turns for this scenario. All right, I'll start my next turn. So I'll get this yellow crystal. And put it on my player board. And then I get to tumble a bunch. What is the best thing to do here? I need to get to here. That will open the door. Probably trying to get to this double teleporter. I don't think I can do it, but I'll do my best. Actually, before I do that, I should play my food card. I didn't look at the cards that I drew yet. Play this first. Herald's Secret. Draw. Roll a die. 3. +2 to all skills. So that's going to be really helpful. Now I tumble. I get the... Let's move this over here. Get the yellow crystal. Now I get to tumble 5 times. So 1, 2, 3. Might as well use the spring. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Spring here. And then tumble 1. That's 4. And my dash is currently enough. So yeah, that'll get me there. Oh, I can't ignore pits this turn. That was last turn. Actually, you know what? I think we might be okay. No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, no, you did. I'm dumb. So I guess I just jump in the pit. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna jump in the pit on purpose. I'll drop the crystal off here, and I respawn here. Not my best play. Yeah. Yeah, that was actually really dumb. What should I have done? Probably should have used the Tunneler Rune to start this process out. Gotten the crystal, ended my movement phase, used the Tunneler Rune, and then on my next turn try to get to here. But now I'm kind of stuck. You can drop a crystal on top of a secret token. That's perfectly legal. But you're right, that's what I probably should have done, is just end my turn here. Then I'm still carrying the crystal. You're right. Rather than complicating my life. Which way was I facing? I had dash. Yeah, I was dashing. Right? Was I using my dash skill? Yeah, I did jump to the tunnel. Oh, I was using my tumbled from left arm to back, and then I was tumbling, right? And I was tumbling 5 times, and then I brought dash up. And I was dashing around, I thought. And I dashed to here, but then I think I was, and I was out of movement essentially when I hit the spring. Yeah, I think so. We'll just say that I was. I don't know which orientation I was, but whatever. It's complicated to do this playing TTS and answering questions at the same time. Right arm up should be right. That's where it is now, I think. Oh, you mean like that? Right. I think in this phase now, I'm just going to use the Tunneler Rune, or Tunneler Worm, to place a tunnel beneath my hero. There's already one there. It's fine. And one up to 7 spaces away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Pass through. That's it for me. Draw an event card. All players may discard a card to slide 1 space. Well, it looks like we're finishing this scenario. Well, not finishing, at least dropping the crystal off. I will discard the Ether Rune to slide on to the Super Teleporter. Plus, don't roll doubles. 8. I will go here and drop off diagonally. And the door unlocks. Now we just have to get over there. And draw for my turn. Face up. 3 cards. That's pretty sweet. Oh, you're right. Because I didn't want to have to teleport again, but yeah, then I could have dropped off and then rolled the super teleporter. Let's see. Door opens. You have the worst ideas, Danny. And what we just did was lose the scenario, actually, because this crystal has just fallen into a pit. Let's just go with my original idea. I'll just land next to it and complete the scenario the next turn. That's hilarious, actually. And, you know, that's actually a way that you could lose this scenario is if you lose one of the crystals, you can no longer open the door. And there aren't any more yellow crystals. I suppose there is technically one other way. If you're playing with this secret deck, you could draw, the event deck. You could draw the event and roll the number to get a yellow crystal. But you basically have to run around the board for 25 minutes to do that. But and activate your queue to get, or yeah, whatever. But I guess if you were desperate and you were stuck in a cave, that is something you might consider. All right. Did I already do the event? No. Roll the directional die. All players slide 1 in the resulting direction. Oh no. South. We are okay with that. And then we spin. Yeah, I'm okay with this, so I'm going to activate my queue next turn. And then... Oh, I have Portal Rune again. Well, actually I have lots of options. Why have I not been looking at my cards? 1, 2. I'm going to use dash. Try this again. I do not want to roll doubles. This is very dangerous. Four. 1, 2, 3, 4. We are on the platform, folks. Although, I think I still might... I guess I can just now play Portal Rune. Teleport 3. Whoops. 1, 2, 3. We have 1. And I have just destroyed this mod. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little exercise in Quodd Heroes solo play. I'm happy to answer some questions before I go have some long overdue lunch. Yeah. What did you think? I'll switch back to the webcam. Okay, Danny, what's your very important question? I listen to him because he's usually right. And I am usually wrong. In fact, on my Facebook profile, if you're Facebook friends with me, where you have like a sort of a little bit to write something about yourself, Mine specifically says I always think I'm right, but I'm usually wrong about that. And I think that's tends to be true. So I second guess myself a lot because I don't know. I'm usually wrong. Thanks, George. Is that how you pronounce it? Or Jorg? Yeah, George. I like this style of scenario as well. And it was fun to finally get to play some solo on TTS, even though it was a little bit of a mess. Leonardos. That's easier to pronounce, theoretically. Yeah. So imagine that essentially, but with, unique cards, like sort of special cards unique to each hero, plus unlockable content, other story things, thematic event cards, and all that. It's going to be tons of fun. I'm super excited myself to get that solo stuff finalized and share it with you guys. So thanks for watching, and I will be back again tomorrow at 2 p.m. With another stream, and I might do another solo. I might just do this one again, but maybe not. I guess tomorrow we have sign up. So if you want to play on the stream tomorrow, feel free to sign up with the link on the website that has link to the scheduling thing. And you can join me for whatever kind of game we end up playing. I'd love to have you. You're welcome. I had fun. This was this was fun. All right, guys. I'm gonna sign out, and we'll see you tomorrow for the final day of the campaign. Begins tomorrow at 1 p.m. We are now less than 48 hours before the campaign ends at approximately 1 p.m. Eastern time on Friday. Be a little later in the day for those in Europe. And I think technically on Saturday for those in Australia and other parts farther away. So yeah, anyway, thanks guys. And we'll see you again tomorrow.